guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a little book haul. I have been putting these books together over the last few months or so you know, it's gonna be a little bit bigger than my book hauls usually will be. I've just been trying to like complete series or put together like the rest of my author collections and things like that. So I wanted to start with a book outlet order that I got a few weeks ago, I think. And the first book in the book outlet order that I wanted to share with you was Tempests and Slaughter by Tamora Pierce. If you don't know by now, I am a huge Tamora Pierce stan. I have been reading Tamora Pierce books since probably like the second or third grade, at least, maybe earlier. I fell in love with the Lioness series, or the Lioness Quartet first, and then I fell in love with the Immortals Quartet. And that leads into Tempests and Slaughter. So Tempests and Slaughter follows one of the main characters in the Immortals Quartet, who is called Numair. And it follows him before that series ever happened, while he's in university learning how to do his magic and introducing you to all of his friends at the time, who are key characters in later series. I think this book came out probably last year or so, and I read it when I borrowed it from the library, but I absolutely needed a copy of my own. The second book from that order is also a Tamora Pierce book, and that is First Test, which is the first book in the Protector of the Small Quartet. I had actually never read like a hard copy of this before, so I was really shocked when I got it and it was only like 200 something pages. They're all really short, they're all really quick reads, but the story is fantastic. It follows Caladria Mendelin, or Kel, as she is the first female who's like legally allowed to train for knighthood. This takes place after a previous series that Tamora Pierce wrote before that law was passed, and that follows Alanna, who had to pretend to be a boy in order to go through these same schooling. In that same order, I received Consumed by J.R. Ward. I love all of J.R. Ward's books. I've been reading J.R. Ward since long before it was probably okay for me to be reading her Black Dagger Brotherhood series. This actually is not in that series though. This is the first of J.R. Ward's, I want to call it like a contemporary romantic suspense. She's writing a series about firefighters, and this follows Anne, who is a female firefighter who lost her hand. That's not a spoiler. That actually happens like really early on in the plot. And she's kind of got to figure out what to do with her life now that her whole world is gone, because that was everything to her. And she becomes an arson investigator just as a bunch of deadly fires are cropping up in their city. She kind of reignites a romance with an old flame as he helps her to investigate those fires, and you kind of follow their love story. The last book that I received in that book outlet order is A Plague of Giants by Kevin Hearne. If you have not read anything by Kevin Hearne, I highly recommend that you do. The man is a fantastic storyteller. I have loved everything that he's ever written. I first fell in love with his Iron Druid Chronicles, which follow Atticus O'Sullivan, who is a 2,000-year-old druid living in Phoenix, Arizona. It's fantastic urban fantasy. I mean, the whole series is absolutely amazing. I think it just ended either in 2017 or 2018, he wrote the last book in that series. But he released a full-on high fantasy series, which is called A Plague of Giants. I think the series is called The Seven Kennings, or something like that. A Blight of Black Wings is the second book. It just came out this past February. And it follows a fantasy world as all of its inhabitants in different nations try and cope with the aftermath and like during the invasion of a nation of giants to their area. It's actually written from the perspective of 11 different people, which is absolutely crazy. I'm not sure that that's ever actually been done, and I think that there's 12 point of views in the following book, which sounds really confusing, but it all pulls together way better than you think that it will. I shouldn't be surprised. Kevin Hearne is so great, and he's such a nice guy. The next group of books that I have, it's just two. I guess it doesn't really count as a group. But it starts with Aurora Burning, which is the next book after Aurora Rising, written by Kristoff and Amie Kaufman. This is YA sci-fi, it's campy, it's hilarious, it follows a team, Squad 312. I'm not going to give you any details from this book, but Aurora Rising is about a squad led by Tyler, who is graduating at the top of his class, and he accidentally misses his, I think it's his test or like his choosing ceremony where he gets to pick his squad, because he leaves to save a girl who is dying on a ship in the middle of a space storm type thing. And because of that, when he gets back, he wasn't there to pick his team, and he kind of gets stuck with all of the misfits and the losers, but they're not losers, they're all really great at what they do. They just don't really get along with others very well. And so you follow Squad 312 as they try and figure out what is going on because their world goes nuts. It's fantastic. It's a little bit childish, like it's on the younger side of YA for sure, but it is so funny and it is so great, and I highly recommend the series to anybody who's interested in sci-fi. Next up, I've got Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I have read her first book in the Grishaverse trilogy, which is Shadow and Bone, and I read both Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, and I loved both of them. So I was really interested to see what Leigh Bardugo is going to do with an adult, like, contemporary urban fantasy type deal. So in this book, you follow Alex, who is hired by a secret society at Yale to kind of join their secret society and help police the other secret societies in their use of magic on the campus. It sounds so good. It sounded so good when I heard it. I know that it got a lot of mixed reviews. I listened to the audiobook for it and I read the ebook, and I had them both from my library, so I was like switching between the two, and I absolutely loved it. I had so many feelings and I needed a physical copy of it so that I could like figure out how I felt about the entire thing. I ended up loving it, and I really recommend it to anybody who's really interested in like the dark academic kind of story. You might have thought I was done with Tamora Pierce books, but I wasn't, because I also picked up several books from my local used bookstore, like trying to support them in the middle of this pandemic, and I asked her, pretty much I sent her a blanket, do you have any of these YA authors? She told me that she ended up having the first and the fourth book in the Song of the Lioness quartet, and this follows Alanna of Trebond as she's, I think, 11 years old at the beginning of this series, as she enters their program to become a knight. She pretends to be a boy in order to do so, and you follow her journey as she goes and becomes a full-on knight. Also from my used bookstore, she really came through with the Cassandra Clare books as well, because I managed to get City of Bones and City of Glass from her. I've been trying to put together my Cassandra Clare books recently. I think I only owned like City of Fallen Angels, which is a really random book in the series to own, I know. But she had City of Bones, like I said, and City of Glass. And if you don't know what these books are about by now, they follow shadow hunters, which are a race of beings that are like supposed to protect the world from demons. And these books in particular are about Clary and Jace. Clary finds out that she's part shadow hunter, and she kind of falls in love with Jace, and stuff happens that I'm not going to go into because it's super spoilery, but just know that I was not a huge fan of the first trilogy for reasons. You guys probably know what I'm talking about. I thought it was creepy. But I am finally working on rereading the rest of the series. I have finished Infernal Devices now, which I really, really enjoyed. And I am on the second half of this trilogy, so I am somewhere in the middle of City of Fallen Angels. It's a little bit slow, but I will let you guys know what I think of it. I also managed to pick up the first and the second book in the Dark Artifices, which is Lady Midnight and Lord of Shadows. These are also in the Shadowhunter world by Cassandra Clare, and I don't really know much about these other than that they take place, I think, 5 years after the Mortal Instruments series ends. I don't know who they're about. I don't think I've been introduced to them yet in my read-through of the series, but I know that a lot of people love them, so I'm really excited to get to them. Finally in this book haul, the last books that I have are all in the Seven Realms series, starting with The Demon King. These are by Cinda Williams Chima. I'm gonna put these down because they're kind of heavy, and I am weak. But anyway, this book follows Hearne, or these books, I guess, follow Hearne, who is, I think he's kind of like a little bit of the chosen one trope. I'm really bad at summaries, so I'm just going to tell you that there is magic, there is royalty, there's a little bit of like an academia trope where that you follow them to a school. There's romance, and this series is one of my absolute favorite YA fantasies in the entire world. I love everything that Cinda Williams Chima has ever written. She also has like a follow-up, I want to call it a quartet. I don't know if it's done yet, so I don't know if it's going to stay a quartet. To this, which follows descendants of characters in these books, not to spoil anything. And the whole thing is fantastic. I highly recommend all of it to anybody who has never read them. Thank you guys so much for watching my very first ever book haul. I hope you stuck with it the whole way, and if you liked it, please like and subscribe down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!